Well, listening in on all of that was the independent MP for New England, Tony Windsor, and he joins us now from Tamworth. Good morning, welcome, thanks for joining us. And we are particularly grateful because we know last night you were celebrating your 60th birthday.
Yes, you know what it feels like, Barry.
Very recently.
If I look a bit ordinary, it's been the stress of the week, not the stress of last night.
So we're a little more restrained than usual?
Oh, no, we had a good night, and it has been a busy week, and I think we're in for a busy one again this week.
Well, tell us about the phone calls from Albie Schultz. What was the nature of those calls?
Oh, well, actually, Tony Abbott's right. Albie's a mate of mine, and I think we all know that Albie gets a bit on his bike occasionally. He's been ringing me through the week, wishing me well, actually, and hoping I'm okay and concerned for my welfare, but he did make one call that he suggested we should get back to the polls and get on with it. But I'm getting advice from a lot of people, so I take Albie's advice in the spirit in which it was meant.
Now, listening to Tony Abbott there, are you persuaded that he is just as determined as Julia Gillard to be Prime Minister?
Yes, I am, and I think we've got to keep our eye on the main game here. I think the meetings we've had with both of them indicate that they are keen to serve in this parliament, the parliament that's just been put together by the people. And until I see different, I'll keep proceeding with good faith with both of them. There is background noise. Where that's coming from, we don't know. There's an orchestrated campaign going on out there in the background. There's a lot of people who probably didn't vote for me are telling me they did, and they never will again if I don't do certain things from both sides of the fence. So what I would say to regional people particularly is just calm down on this. There's an opportunity to put in place some very positive things for regional Australia, and what we don't want to happen, I think there's only a 10% chance of this, but what we'd prefer not to see is to have to go back to the polls right away.
And when Rob Oakeshott was talking about some sort of smear campaign being staged against him, is that what he's talking about, that those sorts of phone calls are being made?
Oh, yes, there's a lot of them. We've been tracking some of them. There's phone numbers in Sydney that have different variations of accent coming through, and from people who just live up the road, apparently, and there's some coming out of Melbourne. There's a lot of argy-bargy, and that's fair enough. People have their views, but I think we've got to look past the partisanship in relation to the situation we're in and try and establish something that is stable. If I gauge that I don't think it can be stable, I may well abstain from the vote. And if one other does that, I think that would necessarily mean we're probably back at the polls. So there's three games in this. It's not just either or. It's let the people decide, and I haven't ruled that out as an option.
And clearly you've thought this through. So as you see it, it is possible to create stable government, either a coalition government or Labor, as you see it. It's possible to get to either conclusion.
Oh, very much so. And in fact, I think it could be a very, very exciting parliament. I'm not afraid of it at all, and I don't think that people in the nation should be. But I can only speak for myself, but I think I speak for the other two. We don't want to be the government. We're being asked to look at the various options in the formation of a government. The government should be allowed then to get on with business, and obviously I'll reserve the right to adjudicate on any legislation that comes before the Parliament. And in a country sense, a regional sense, that will be a good thing. So from a country perspective, this could be a very, very exciting Parliament.
Now, Tony Abbott said that you'll be meeting with frontbenchers during the week. That he obviously implied that means you'll come face-to-face with Warren Truss and Barnaby Joyce. Is that your expectation, and is that a good thing?
Oh, yes, I think so. We spoke about this in the meeting the other day. We've got to look past the personalities in relation to this. I get on reasonably well with Warren Truss. I've never really had any problems with Warren. I think he's a good thinker. Barnaby, I thought, was a bit of a fool the other night in the context of a hung parliament to start to abuse one of the candidates that could actually determine government. But I think he's been put back in his box. But we're quite happy to talk to to anybody in relation to this. And as I said, we're getting a lot of advice from a lot of people.
And on the question of the costings, and again, Tony Abbott was saying that he expects all of this to come out eventually. And if you, in the end, need to properly explain whatever decision you take, you would need to go to the assessments, wouldn't you? You'd need to release some details of what Treasury said about the costings.
Quite possibly, Barry, but I'd have to consult with the other two on this. We're not a block in this. What we've agreed to do is, look, let's get some information together, and rather than have 3 interviews with Ken Henry, let's have 1. Now, we might derive different conclusions from a range of the meetings and come up with different proposals at the end of all of this, and my vote may not even be part of it. It may not be required for the formation of government, but those costings probably will become public, but I'd have to consult with the other two in relation to that.
And you talked about the phone calls that you've been getting. What about the pressure of opinion polls that clearly show that your electorate prefers Tony Abbott? Are you feeling any pressure from those?
No, not really. I spent a lot of time in the street on Friday, and the big message to me was obviously congratulations, which I appreciate, but that the electorate would back my judgment either way. Obviously, there'd be Labor people who'd be terribly disappointed if it was the Coalition and National Party voters, 20,000 of them, would be disappointed if I went the other way. But I think they all recognise that this isn't a situation of our doing, and it's not just about New England. It is about the governance of the nation and whether we can achieve something that's relatively stable. I think we can, but I think that has to be the objective, not the partisan politics of last Saturday. The election's over. The people couldn't make a determination. They're asking some others to do so, and I'm quite happy to play a role in that. But the electorate's view, the people's view, my wife's view, they'll all be part of the mix. But the clear focus for me is stability of governance.
And what about the media pressure? There's been a fair bit of that as well, and right to the point of some page 1 editorials. Do you feel any pressure from that area?
Oh, no, it's obvious that different political interests have got their pen pushers out there running their lines to try and create circumstances. But I just say to them, I think you're dealing with a different ball game here. This isn't Labor versus Liberal and siding with one side and the other, and trying to make some of the independents look something they're not. It doesn't help their political agenda in a sense. But I've been around for a while. The media can do what they like. I have to make a decision, and I won't be basing it on some of the rubbish that's in the papers.
OK, and just finally, what's your best guess now on when all of this will be resolved?
Well, hopefully by the end of the week, but it could take a little bit longer than that. My part in it, I don't intend to rush. I don't think the poll will be declared for a while. There may be some legal argument over some of the poll results. So a government can't really be formed until the poll's declared, and just say to the Australian people, just calm down, this will be worked out one way or the other. The sun will come up, and in a few months' time we'll wonder what it was all about.
I doubt that. Tony Windsor, thanks very much for your time. Thank you.
OK, thanks, Barry.